Live Snappy Tomato Pizza. Chris Brinkley here with Coach Kevin McMillan, Frank and the gang. Coach Jason James will join us later. We'll talk UT Martin Ohio Valley Conference Tournament as the Skyhawks win 3 games to take it to the next level, and now they have earned a berth to the big dance, to the NCAA tournament. And we will know 1 week from tonight where UT Martin will be in the NCAA tournament and the opponent that they will play. And Robert, back at studios, I can hear myself, so if you'll on the tie line. There we go. You took care of that. Thank you, Robert. Just a little technical situation. But Coach McMillan and I will look ahead to who UT Martin might play, and really some of the other conferences are unfolding, so we really are not sure yet. Coach McMillan, I want to say first of all to you that probably all day long people have congratulated you and patted you on the back, and I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle, and I don't know if you brought your wallet, but I need help play for the blood pressure medicine that I'm now on after those 3 games. You know, I never dealt with high blood pressure before. I'm getting a little older. Coach, I'm telling you, that was not an easy trip.
No, 3 games that we could have lost or should have lost, every one of them.
You said that in the championship post-game press conference.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that you would have predicted that you'd be down 14-0 to start the first game, down 6 points with 2:30 to play in the second game, and down 3 points with 12 seconds to play in the third one, and you win all 3 of them. I mean, that's just unheard of, and that's what that little group did. Unbelievable.
Let's go. We have to go through it game by game, and let's start with the Eastern Kentucky game. That was your first game. That was the game when, in the first half, only Jasmine Newsom had hit a field goal.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard that in a game that 25 or 30 points was scored in a half. Maybe in a game that's very low scoring where your team gets 10 or 12 or whatever. But, I mean, she's the only one that was doing anything. Literally, she was out there playing 1-on-5. And we talked about that at halftime. We said that somebody's going to have to help her. In the second half, Heather Butler did and Rakisha Bryant did. And next thing you know, we're up, and then we kind of get cruising. And, you end up winning. It makes it look easy. But nothing about that game was easy.
She had 41 points. Not only is that a career high for her, but it's a tournament high for most points by a player. And her stat line was 14 of 31, which was not great, but it was much better than anyone else on the team.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, the first half was absolutely ridiculous. I think in the first half she shot the ball probably 20-something times, and she was the only one that was doing anything. Now, part of it was their design, and their design was they weren't going to help off anybody. And if you're not going to help, then that means Butler or Newsom 1's going to be able to have a lot of room to work. And a lot of teams sell out to guarding Butler and thinking Jasmine may not do anything, and that's what they did. And Jasmine, carried us in that first half, especially after we got such a hole. But I told them at a timeout, or probably halfway through the first half, we still hadn't scored. I said, guys, if ball starts going in, we'll be fine. And who would have thought you're down 14-0, you don't score for the first 6 or 8 minutes of the game, and you still score 78 points in the game? I mean, that's a pretty good efficiency for the rest of that ball game.
You shot 36% from the field in the game, which does not win many games. But defensively, you held Eastern Kentucky to 31%. Is that why coaches say defense wins games?
I guess, but defense wasn't going to win that one. Down 14-0, we could have played all the defense we wanted to, and it wasn't going to make any difference. And phenomenal about that is that I think they hit their first 5 shots.
Yeah.
So they did not shoot the ball well, but we switched out of our zone and went back man and played primarily man the entire game against them, which is not our strong suit, but it was what we needed.
You hinted on it in one of the interviews, and I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about our tournament format, but in the games, one team has usually played the day before, and then when we played Eastern Kentucky, they had played Wednesday. We were playing for the first time. I really believe in the first half, or at least in the first 10 minutes of the game, where the team that has played yesterday is playing, their shooting percentage will be higher than the team who hasn't played at all. And I think that unfolded in every game.
Every game I remember watching, the team that had played the day before would come out of the gate a lot quicker than the other one. I mean, it happened in us against Eastern Illinois. It happened against Tech with us. It happened against Eastern Kentucky with us. It happened in the 2 games that we were scouting. The team that had played before shot out, but they couldn't sustain it. Now we were fortunate against Eastern Illinois to be able to sustain it, and we were fortunate again against Tech to. I don't think either one of us don't call it sustain it. I think to survive it, I guess, is a better way to say it. But it's just different. Your legs are loose. You've been in the facility. You're a little more comfortable, and that takes the other team a little while to get adjusted.
I don't want to talk. I want to talk about Rakisha Bryant. She had 9 points, 11 rebounds, 6 block shots, and played 34 minutes against Eastern Kentucky in the first game. You were seeing a little bit of how she ended the season, but again, a nice stat line for her.
That's a solid stat line from her to get 9 points, 11 rebounds, and 6 blocks. And that's something that we need from her every single game and have needed. The minutes were a little high for her.
This is Thursday.
This is Thursday. That she gets tired, but at this point, you're in the tournament. If you lose, you're done. So there's no reason to save anything. We're not the kind thinking that we're going to play to win 3 games. No, you play to win 1. And then you worry about the next one. And so we played her a lot of minutes, and we said we got to do what we got to do, and hopefully we can get to the next one. And that's what we did, but it got progressively worse for her minutes-wise.
Let's go to the next one. Friday, you're playing Eastern Illinois. In my mind, I'm thinking this could be the toughest matchup right here. Who do we I know you're a coach and you're not supposed to say, but was this game more difficult than the Tennessee Tech game from a going into it standpoint? You know now that hindsight's 20/20.
Yes, I think Eastern Illinois. I'm not trying to say one side is better than the other or any of that stuff, but I do think that our side, Eastern Illinois, I think was the best team in the conference all year. I think that we have just such a I don't know whether we're a battle-tested group or a tournament-ready team. I don't know how you say it. That's us. Plus, late in the season, we kind of some chemistry kicked in and some pride kicked in. I don't know what are the right words, but we kind of were on a roll late. But I thought Eastern Illinois overall was the best team in the conference. I thought Eastern Illinois, Belmont, Eastern Kentucky, and Tennessee Tech had the best overall teams. Mm-hmm. I think Newsom and Butler are probably the 2 best players, but I think that they had the best teams. And
when I watch Eastern Illinois warm up, wow, they're big.
Oh, they're huge. Every position, they're bigger than us at every position but one, and that's Rakisha's. Everywhere else, they're either as big. They're as big as Shelby. They're bigger than Katie. They're bigger than Butler, and everybody's bigger than Butler, and they're bigger than Newsom. And we were challenged in that one to figure out what to do to compete. And they put 5 kids or 4 kids in double figures. If you had told Eastern Illinois before the game that we're going to put 4 kids in double figures, you take it. But then we come back, and Keisha had 12 and 11, I think. Yeah, 12 points and 11 rebounds in that game. Played 37 minutes. So that's, again,
and 4 block shots.
Not a good 4 blocks. Yeah. Not a good number of minutes for her, and so we're a little worried now that her legs are tired. And I think we made a concerted effort in that game to try to get her off the floor a few minutes. Well, that didn't work. She played 37. So, we're at this point, Butler and Newsom have basically played 2 complete games, and Keisha's now played, she went from 34 up to 37. So we're heading into the Tennessee Tech game going, this is not good for a team that basically plays 6 or 7 kids. So we were not really excited about that one. And, Easter's got such a great team that you just wonder how you beat them sometimes.
I don't know how you beat them. You hit 3 fewer field goals. You got out-rebounded by 10. You only turned the ball over 3 fewer times. From the free throw line, you hit 2 more. You shot 43%. They shot 45%. It takes somebody smarter than me to figure out how you did it.
The only thing is we probably made more threes than they did.
You did.
That's probably the only
9
out of 21,
and
they made 3 out of. That's probably the only difference in the ball game was 3-point shooting. And Jazz was 4 for 6, and Katie hit a big one. Sydney hit a big one. Shelby hit the shot of the game. You're down 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Well, we're down with about 4 minutes to go by 2 or something like that. And Wiss takes the ball on 2 back-to-back possessions and just takes it and goes scores. And when she did that, I thought, if they keep doing that, we're done. We don't have any answer for that. Well, for whatever reason, it's like the stars had to line up just perfectly for us to keep winning. Mm-hmm. They lined up for the Eastern Kentucky game. How? I don't know, down 14-0. And then they had to line up in this game. Well, they didn't go back to that. And when they didn't go back to that, that opened a little door for us. Well, we went to Butler off-ball screens and got Nixon out of the way, and they didn't hedge the first time, and Butler gets a wide-open shot, and she makes it. So now it's a 4-point game. Well, we come back down, and now they're going to double Butler. She throws it back to Shelby, who hits a 3, and now it's tight. Now it's a 1-point game, and now it's going to get interesting. It ends up back in Butler's hands with seconds for time running down, and she comes off a ball screen, and they didn't hedge, and she pulls up from 15 feet, and she does what she does. She puts it in the hole, and I still am astounded that we ended up winning that ball game.
This was the game where you did not call the timeout, where some coaches might have called the timeout, right?
Right.
And that's when Butler hit the shot.
Yeah, I don't want teams. Number one, a lot of teams might do something different. It's kind of like the theory of hurry up offense in football. Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily to speed the game up or anything like that. It's we know what the defense is doing. So if we get back up to the line of scrimmage real quick, they can't change defenses. They've got to stay what they were in. Mm-hmm. So now we know what they're in, so let's attack that. Well, we come down the floor, they're in man-to-man. They don't have time to talk about doubling somebody. They don't have time to switch defenses. They don't have time to make any changes. Let's go do what we do. So I just told them to run what we always run and at the right time, and then so there wouldn't be a lot of time left on the clock, and we were either going to win it or go into overtime. And they didn't have time for their coach to say, hey, if she comes off here, let's do this, or let's make somebody else hit this or whatever. And again, timeouts are, I don't know, in my expertise as a coach, with timeouts is very pathetic. I don't know what to tell them in timeouts half the time. And I'm going to call a timeout and go, okay, we're going to throw it to Butler and go screen. I mean, they all knew what we were going to do.
They knew that.
So, a timeout, you can overcoach yourself if you really aren't prepared. And, we do so few things. Coach Haskins was laughing at me today about how little stuff that we really do with our kids out on the floor, but we're really good at the few things that we do. And it's so easy to prepare for us, but it's so hard to stop those kids. And it's just get good kids, put them in the positions to make plays, and then get out of their way. And that's what we did by not calling a timeout.
Somebody asked me to ask you this, and I will, but you do not have to answer it, because Colonel Sanders never gave the recipe for KFC.
I'll tell you whatever, Chris.
Really?
I'll tell you whatever.
Really? Mm-hmm. You don't have to if you don't want to. So you have Newsome and Butler out there, and it's at the end of the game. How do you decide who's going to get that last shot? Because they're equally capable of winning a game for you.
It probably depends on who's defending them.
Okay.
And it depends where the ball is. If it's full court, going the length of the floor, I'm going to probably give it to Jasmine. She likes that better. If it's half court and we've got to run something, I'm probably going to do Butler because she's stronger at that. It depends on which defender. If Nixon's guarding one of them, I'm going the other one. Mm-hmm. So, there's about 8 things that'll go through your mind real quick. And I'm very fortunate to have – you can say I made the right calls in both those games, but it's not complicated. Once the game slowed down and Nixon is on Jasmine, even though Jasmine's had 20-something points and it's done great, no question what we're doing. We've scored 3 times in a row, giving the ball to Butler on a ball screen. Well, okay, we scored 3 in a row. Go do it again. And so that's what we did. In the Tech game, it was full court, head of steam. I'm going to give it to Jasmine, but I'm going to use Butler and put them out there together so that hopefully they won't be able to help.
Right.
Right.
And if the help did come, then Jasmine might have found Butler.
That might have happened. Yeah. Sure might have.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. And you and this is not any kind of secret stuff. You knew what Eastern Illinois was going to do at the end of the game.
Oh, I told the kids what they were going to do.
And they did that.
Yes, and then I just about made the biggest mistake of the game because when they brought King up, I thought if they're going to bring King up, they're going to throw it to King, and they're going to hit Butler flashing, and hit Nixon flashing, and they're going to go up the floor. And so I told him, I said, if King comes up, leave her alone. And then somebody said something, and I stopped talking, and I never finished. So I never told them what else to do for Butler to watch at. And then when they were going out there, I went, oh crap, I forgot to tell them. and then I went, well, Butler has done this so many times against a press, she's going to know what to do. So I'm not going to try to. If I yell at her now, I may get her not paying attention. So let's leave her alone. They threw it to King. Nixon cut. They hit her. She goes down, and I just sat down and went, I cannot believe I didn't say. All I had to do was tell Butler to stay on his side. That's all I had to do, and I didn't say it. And but so you know how when you're talking and your train of thought's going, and then you stop. Well, I thought I'd said it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it in my mind. Well, as soon as they go out, am I supposed to say that? I'm probably supposed to act like I really said it, aren't I? Well, when they went out there and they about got halfway out there, I realized I hadn't said it, and I went, she'll be fine. Ugh. Nixon had a layup.
Yeah.
She had a layup, and she just missed it.
Have you watched it on film?
No, I haven't watched it on film.
Okay.
They asked me in the press conference, they said, did I think there was a foul on that play? Mm-hmm. And this is the fourth time in my life that I've ever answered a question very good on the spot.
Oh.
I've never answered them good, ever. I have to think about it for like 2 days. Now, Paige can answer them like that. I mean, it's ridiculous. You can ask her anything, and she'll pop out with the right answer. I can't do it. It takes me 3 days to figure out what the right answer is. Well, he asked the question in there because he was an Eastern Illinois writer, and, of course, he wants to hear me say, yeah, there was a foul, should have been a foul, whatever. And I said, well, it looked kind of like the other 14 that Butler and Newsom were doing driving in there that they never called. So if the 14 weren't a foul, that wasn't a foul. If the 14 was a foul, that was a foul. And that's the truth. I mean, it's the truth. They let so many fouls go that if you're not going to call those, you sure better not call one at the end of the game. Yeah. So, anyway, we got lucky.
So when you called that play, when you know what the other team is going to do, are you just basing it on what they've done in the past and what they've done in that game, or do you say to yourself, what would I do in this situation if I were their coach?
First, I don't have a clue. And so that's why we took the time out when they got out there and set up. Mm-hmm. And as they were going out there to set up, the only time I ever had the whiteboard, I'm writing out where they're putting people. And as soon as I saw where they were putting them, I said, okay, this is what they've got to be thinking that they're going to do. And you just try to defend that. I mean, with 5 seconds to go, you don't know what they're going to do. You just go, what's the best guess? And I mean, my best guess was Nixon was cutting, and they were going to – and I didn't think they were going to bring King up until they saw us out there, and then they ran her up. And when they ran her up, I said, okay, that's – so then I called timeout. Now I know what they're going to do. Well, I didn't even tell our kids. I mean, what good is that to be sitting over there with knowing something's going to happen? You don't even tell your team.
It worked out.
That's kind of dumb.
It worked out. Tennessee Tech is your opponent on Saturday. Did you think in the Eastern Illinois game at all we looked tired at times?
Oh, I thought we were exhausted.
Okay. And this is day 2.
Second half, I thought we were exhausted. Keish plays 37 minutes, which she's not accustomed to that. We didn't rebound the ball well. We didn't defend well. I mean, I thought we were exhausted, and I literally thought we were done. I thought we hit the wall with 2.5 minutes to play when they hit those back-to-back buckets, and I thought that was it. I mean, we'd gone as far as we could go, and that was going to be it. Well, don't count that little 5'4" kid out. She's going to keep making plays for you, and you just got to figure out a way to get some stops. So I thought we were dead in that one. So when that game was over, I was like, all right. I mean, you ask, what do you do now? I mean, go to the hotel and get in the bed and don't get out of it. Mm-hmm. And we rested as much as we could.
I have to ask you a question, though. Jasmine and Heather kept talking about taking the ice baths, mm-hmm. which is the new thing in sports now where you get into a bath full of ice that's got to be exceptionally cold. And I don't know from a medical standpoint what it actually does?
Yes, there is. There's two thoughts. One of them, and I know none of the players are going to be listening to me talk right now, so I can say whatever.
And then I'm going to ask you, how do you take an ice bath in a hotel, or did you go somewhere else? But first of all, what does it do?
There's something about, and you'll have to ask somebody that's got a lot more medical whatever than me. There's something about the ice and pulling out something. And I'm going to say lactic acid. I think is that right?
Yeah.
My wife's a biology person, so she knows. Okay. Something about the ice breaks down the lactic acid, which has to deal with soreness and stuff like that. And so if you can get in there quick enough and you're in there for the right amount of time, it prevents that from happening. If you've ever done it.
Have you?
Okay, yes, I have.
Okay.
I told my team, and we've been doing them a long time. I mean, years. I've been doing them for years. And because an old coach told me to do it. And I did it one year, and the team just hated it, and it's awful. I promise you it's awful. But when you're in there and when you come out after about 30 seconds or a minute, when your legs feel so refreshed, it's unbelievable. It's shocking. And the girls actually earlier in the year when they were getting tired because we were doing some two-a-days in the middle, started taking them on their own. Well, that tells you if it's okay, either I'm awful on them because they're exhausted, or there's really something to it. And so we started doing these about the time we started winning is when we started doing the ice baths. They range in time from a minute to about 10 minutes. It's kind of whatever you can stand.
And the water's what, 30?
The water is, imagine.
Between 30 and 40, I would assume.
Probably, okay. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about. And now they do differently than I did. I couldn't do this. They get in the tubs, and so it's up to their waist.
Yeah.
When I did it, I got up just over my knees to about my thighs, and I was in a garbage can. Now, we've done them in garbage cans where you stand in it, and we've done where they sit down in an ice bath. And they've gone in there and lately with Bart and Retta and the training staff, and they've got a whirlpool that they just sit down in.
What do you do when you're on the road?
Do them we go. Here was after the games. Coach Russell, who had a vehicle, would go to 7-Eleven, get bags of ice because there wasn't enough in the hotel. We come back. They get 6 bags of ice. 3 of them go in one tub, 3 of them go in another tub, and they fill it up with cold water, and they would just alternate who was taking an ice bath. And you just get in for – now, they have they like to wear spandex because it's real tight. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can wear whatever you want to.
Yeah,
It's ice going to be cold anyway. And it really does help your muscles and your joints, and it helps you kind of be refreshed. And so we did that every day right after the games.
That's crazy. And for those of you listening who can't even imagine, most swimming pools are about 70 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
Bath water's probably 80.
Oh, yeah. This is probably 40, maybe 30.
Ouch.
It's freezing cold. Yeah. It's freezing cold. But it is really refreshing. You can't stay in there too long. There's kind of a balance of time. That's where our trainers help us so much. It's because they know how long they should stay in there. And it's one of the ways that we got rest. And the other one is you just get off your feet. Just get off your feet and watch TV and don't do anything. Don't be running around and rest.
Okay, we'll come back. We'll talk about Tennessee Tech in our next segment and look ahead to who UT Martin might be playing in the tournament. When we return, live Snappy Tomato Pizza Skyhawk Talk continues on the UT Martin Skyhawk Sports Network.